All right, Ellen, do you want to take it away, introduce yourself, and kick things off?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Amber. Hey guys. Before I begin, I just wanted to say, like, I'm really not a professional. I'm just like you. Like, you guys are studying. I just studied like 6 months back, and yeah. So just like if I mess up or if I just don't answer properly, so please ignore that. But yeah, saying that, my name is Alan. And I'm currently working at NZ Post as functional developer. Um, I started in May, and I started this course. Joined Salesforce training. Back then it was called Salesforce training. Now it's called Networks. And and yeah, I was like, I think the first pilot batch for the
Mm.
crash 3 months course, zero
Yeah.
to 100. So yeah, I started in November. We had a December break, and then we had a project going on till January. And I think by Jan end we finished the course and we all attended the admin exam. And yeah, we I think we all passed, and it was nice experience. The takeaway for me from the Salesforce training was actually the project. Kind of, I kind of enjoyed the project a lot because learning. I mean, when you learn the trailhead badges and stuff, like, you just learn. I mean, and if you ask, what you learned back then, you wouldn't remember anything. But doing that project actually helped me a lot, in terms of, so each scenario you go back to the trail mix, or the module, and then you again search for your answers and then implement those onto the project, was really helpful. Then I sort of kind of remembered or understood, like, why we are doing this and why this module is for. um, um, so yeah, and then the whole interview process started. We had some amazing guidance. We had like the resume building session. We had like career, like, which which path to choose if you want to be in a developer position or if you want to be in a consultant role. So there was like guidance given in each sessions. And obviously, amazing Amber, she was there with you. Like, if you have any questions, we normally used to I normally used to kind of message her. And just whenever we get a chance, like, I just got my answers from Amber. um um yeah, and then, like, started applying for jobs. And like, I think I attended almost 7 interviews.
Mm.
And like, I applied almost 25 uh, job applications. So out of that, I got like 7 interviews, and from 7 interviews I got like 2 offers. Um and I I see one name here, Deepti Birari. Deepti, are you anywhere related to Sid? I mean,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So I think Sid actually took my interview when he was in Mikado, and I
Oh,
did.
yes.
And I think you are my LinkedIn contact as well. I think, yeah. And
Yes.
even Daniel. Oh, yeah. I see
Yes.
familiar names here. Who's my LinkedIn contact? Yeah. So Mikado interview was really technical, to be honest. Like, it was it was a bit technical in terms of, they asked like a lot of Apex, a little bit of Apex, but like more sort of configuration questions. Um, yeah, and then I got an interview from NZ Post, and I actually got to work with Sid when he was, because he was a consultant at NZ Post. So yeah, so that's my journey so far. And currently, I just wanted to share an exciting news, because I was a part of a project, like, last for the last 2 weeks. And we had a go live just today, this morning at 9 o'clock. So I'm pretty excited that I was the project, like, I worked on that project, and I was the sole person who got that project rolling. And it was to implement few changes, like, building up a new queue, and routing, like, email configuration and stuff like that. So that was my baby. So that was exciting, and I got it go live today at 9 o'clock, and I'm pretty excited. and
Oh.
and to celebrate, I'm starting my holidays today for the next 3 days. Yeah. So That's about me. I mean, so far so good. I'm still learning. Like, this is my fourth month being in a full time Salesforce role. Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm happy and I'm going and I'm happy to like take questions.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. I think it's such a cool story. So I'm sure there'll be some questions that people are thinking of or that are coming through. So feel free to ask them if you guys have them. But I think it'd be really helpful, Alan, if you gave a bit of background as to what you were doing prior. What were you doing before the course?
Oh yes. So before I started Salesforce, I was working as a field engineer, uh, and my role was purely like kind of system admin, like a bit of technical support, service desk, and customer support. So basically, I started my journey, like my IT journey, in New Zealand as a technical support analyst for Apple. So that's basically helping customers in anything related to Apple iOS and Mac and stuff like that. So that was purely technical support, and then from there I kind of upgraded myself and went into a bit of system admin role. So my role was to kind of configure servers and having intranet, like VPN configuration of VPN and stuff like that, and a bit of server configuration in terms of building the racks. So I was like purely into a different domain altogether. Um, and the way I got introduced to Salesforce was during the COVID, because my role was purely on field, and then I didn't have much job. I mean, I did have a job, but I was doing nothing, to be honest, like during the COVID session. So that's when I was introduced to a Salesforce project in my company. We had a small marketing team who used to do Salesforce. So that's how I got to know about Salesforce. um, so I started like I mean, I was kind of my role was there to kind of configure the users, managing the licenses, resetting the password. That's all I used to do, just in our company for Salesforce when I where I used to work before. But then after that, I started learning batches um, uh, on Trailhead. um, and yeah, that's basically I kind of did 40 badges when I started exploring, and that's how I met Amber. I saw Amber's profile, and then I kind of spammed her inbox on Trailhead, and then I spammed her inbox on LinkedIn, and then I got to know that there was a course going on, and that's how I joined the Salesforce training.
Yeah, that was so cool. I totally forgot that actually. Now that you mention it. Yeah, that's a really cool way. I just saw a question coming in the chat here. So we'll take a bit of a left turn. But it's from Bugger, and Bugger's actually on a course at the moment, and they're in week 2 of their exam prep stage. So they're about a couple of weeks out from doing their exam.
Oh, nice.
So this is very on the mind for them. Any valuable tips when preparing for the exam?
Um, I think good question, Bhagya. I think I don't. I mean, the tips. Maybe um, like focus on force is something that I kind of did, like focus on force. And if you're studying for admin, I don't know if that link still exists, but there was a link. I'll just try to find that and I'll just post it in the chat later on. But you know there is like 30 test exams, like 30 questions. You can do timed or untimed, but if you kind of refresh, the questions also gets refreshed. So every time you refresh, you get next set of 30 questions. So I don't know if you guys have that, but that's what I did, and I found most of the questions that I studied at in that link was actually the questions that I got in the actual exam. I don't know if that's a crack. I mean, maybe I was just lucky, but I don't know. Like, that's how I studied, to be honest. Like, that a focus on force was actually, so you actually read the question and then you work on the playground. Please don't memorize it, because in on the exam it's not going to help you, because they kind of twist and jumble, and there is an examiner also when you attend the exam. I mean, I think Daniel also he's already certified, so he I think, right? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there is an examiner. So I used to wear the specs, so the examiner actually asked me to like remove my specs like 10 times, because he thought I was copying or something. And you cannot actually read while you're reading the question, so you cannot actually read loud. So yeah, so when you kind of be in that situation, you cannot actually like memorize the questions or anything like that. The best way is to kind of understand the question, do the practical then and there, understand the the navigation part. If you know the navigation on Salesforce, it's kind of pretty easy. I mean, if you're just being on admin side. So that's basically I studied, like focus on force. And there was we also have that. Do we still give out the the practice exam like
Yeah.
Salesforce? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's another way, kind of, but do focus on force, like at least like do all the question sets and then do the Salesforce admin practice exam, and you should be easy, like you should be easily cracking that.
Mm, very cool. Very cool. I just get Daniel as well. Daniel, did you have anything to add there? I feel like Alan did a really great job of covering it. Or was there anything extra that you wanted to chip in with that question?
No, I agree. Focus on force was probably the biggest thing, right? And it gave you the mindset of how the exam's laid out, um, and the way that they ask the questions. The cheat sheets are really good. Also, using them side by side with the trailhead, sorry, with the playground and the focus on force, all side by side, running them all together, going through all the scenarios, just imprinting it onto your mind, and then when it came to the exam, it was easier to recall the information.
Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. All right. So in your story, Alan, we know where you were before. You kind of, it sounds like the course was a bit of a breeze for you. Was there anything that you remember being quite challenging about it, or anything that you wish you'd done a bit differently looking back?
In the course,
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking me to say bad things about the course. I mean,
I'm asking for advice for people currently on it.
oh no, no. I mean, I think for me, like I just had a set of goals, and looking at the curriculum, like it was pretty straightforward. I just felt like whatever that I was looking for, it was there in the course. So I didn't find any challenges as such. I think the only challenges that I faced was like during the project. It's just that, like, you know we kind of do it in groups, um, and then if, like, I just felt maybe, you know it's not mandatory, but maybe we can just individually also do it. Like, it just gives you an exposure to be like in a challenging situation, and then consider Amber as the stakeholder rather than a team member. Like, just go to her with all the questions. And I mean, I just did, like, ask questions as much as possible.
Mm.
And I think there was like some technical difficulties in terms of, like, being in a group. Sometimes the group member is not there, or it depends, like, what's the situation like. So nothing like against, like, being in a group, but, like, if you're alone, like, you can actually do some challenging stuff. um yeah, I
Yeah.
think.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
Oh
So
yeah, sorry. I think I just, sorry. I just thought I would add on to this. Like, if we have, because when you're actually working and when you're learning, I think in the real work environment, you have like, different frameworks, or each company has different methods of working. So it would be nice, like, if we add on to the course, like, in terms of the working, like the framework. Like, if some companies have agile framework, some have waterfall. Like, it's basically software development. Like, even if you're into an admin role or a consultant, I mean, obviously that's software development at the end of the day. So I just thought, like, maybe that is some challenges that I faced when I kind of initially went on to the role, to understand, like, what is like what is like sprint, or what is user story, or how to write a story, or maybe acceptance criteria and stuff like that. Like, maybe that could be like, an additional, like maybe just towards the end of the course, can be really helpful to everyone who is preparing for interviews.
Mm,
So
absolutely. Maybe did you want to elaborate on that a bit and explain for people who might not know and they think sprints? Are you running every day? Like,
yeah,
what is a
yeah.
sprint?
Yeah, I just like just wanted to ask the audience, like, is there anybody who is already, I mean, who is from like software or anything, any IT background?
Mm, let me have a look at who's here. Let's change my layout. I don't think so. Sarah's already like you in an admin role. But I think everyone else here is from a pretty mix, eh?
Right, Sarah, is that the same Sarah that during
Yeah,
my batch? I mean, we had a Sarah
yeah,
Smith.
yeah.
Oh, hi
No, no,
Sarah.
same.
Yep, that's me. Hello, Alan.
Good, how are you, Sarah?
Good, good, good. I was mid typing that I did a web development bootcamp
Oh yeah,
before switching into Salesforce, and I
yeah,
definitely enjoy this side of things much more.
absolutely. I think we had a coffee catch up, like in terms of the Slack coffee catch up, I think.
Yes.
Yes, yes, I remember. Do you guys still do that?
The courses, so the Summer of Salesforce course was so large that like we did all those, but with our other ones, everyone pretty much knows everyone, which is quite nice, you
Oh,
know.
nice.
So yeah, it's a different vibe for sure. But we'll be doing them again for our upcoming Summer of Salesforce. So I think we're taking on 50 students this time around,
Nice,
which will be really
nice.
big. Yeah. Um. Anyway,
Sorry.
sorry, back to
Yeah,
sprints.
yeah. Sorry. So yeah. Um. Like, when I started at NZ Post, they normally have like stand-ups every morning. So it's like every day you kind of go through the story. So like we have a sprint. Like, if you understand what sprint is basically a kind of time frame of 2 weeks, wherein you kind of decide which all things that you want to work, and then you kind of discuss and solution it, and then you bring it to the board, and then you kind of story point it. You kind of decide the priority, like how much days or how much time that you need to assign for those tasks. So basically, a story is something that you kind of work on. It could be anything, like a config or a development or a bug. So anything could be a story. So basically, you bring those stories into a sprint, and a sprint is basically of 2 weeks. I mean, it depends also on the company, and also like what agile framework they follow. So for us, it is 2 weeks, and for each in 2 weeks, we kind of have each story that comes in. um, there is development work, there is testing work. So we need to kind of decide how much time does it take for development, how much time does it take to testing, and then you kind of try to finish the stories in those sprint. But it also like happens that some stories take time, like some unexpected things come in, and then you kind of have to rework on that, so that story gets go into a different sprint. So that's basically a kind of agile framework. um, and it depends company to company how they want to work, or how they want to proceed, and that depends altogether on the process. And being said that, I think there is also it differs when it comes to consulting, and it also comes to like working on the product side. So for me, NZ Post, like working in NZ Post, it's actually product based. So like I work on the product side. But if you're working for a consulting company, they have a different model altogether. So they might work on, so one person might work on like for 3 or 4 clients at the same time. So their model is different than what I'm currently working. So I'm totally on the product side, in house basically. um,
Mm.
so yeah, that's basically how it works. I don't know if that I mean, explained correct way, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that was great. I think that was really cool. Awesome. So did the course, did the project, did the exam. What happened for you once the course was done? Do you want to talk us through that to starting at New Zealand Post?
Um, so, like before starting with New Zealand Post.
Yeah, like how was the application process?
Oh yeah,
You kind of gone over at high level, but if you could dig a bit more into that, that'd be
yeah.
awesome.
Okay, sure, sure. So once the course was over, like we I think we had this session through I don't remember the name, but there was like this person who came in and helped us understand what is how to write CVs and stuff like that. And after that, I think we had Lauren, who was part of the recruitment at Upper Echelon.
Mhm.
So she also helped us, like getting the CVs across different companies around New Zealand. And for me, it was like I didn't have any particular choice that I need to be in Auckland, or I could be anywhere, so I just gave her that option. So she did actually brought me a different couple of organization, and I actually got NZ Post through this, I think, through Salesforce training itself, I would say. So like I was recruited like a campus interview or something like that, but yeah, I mean, that's how I got at NZ Post. So the I mean, the interview processes are like kind of tricky sometimes. In the job description, like when you read the job description, they would say that it's okay that one year, I mean, they would need 1 year experience, or zero experience is still okay. But then when you actually attend the interview, it is sometimes the expectation is like you understand that. So I kind of bragged about the project every single time that I attended the interview. And for me, I considered that as a life. I mean, because the project was a real life project. It wasn't a kind of existing model. So I kind of portrayed myself that I did work for like an intern for um, Kane Statham Real Estate Agency. That was the company that we built the whole project for. So that was a real company, and obviously that existed in Wellington. So that was something that I kind of explained, like this is the demo, or this is the project that I did, plus the documentation, and also the demo that you do. It actually helps you to build, like during the work, because the thing that I told you about stories. So that the documentation really helps you to kind of build the stories, or write the documentation, or work on the acceptance criteria and stuff like that. So it's kind of helpful when you actually do the documentation, and also the demo video, because the demo video actually shows that the stuff that you built, and you understand the requirement of the organization. So basically that's what demonstrates that the stuff that you're doing. So you're just not like telling that I attended a training, and then I did a project. Like I just portrayed like I did a real project. So that kind of really helped me during the interviews. And interviews actually can be stressful, because and I kind of like attended 7 interviews, and I was like, okay, I mean, there's nothing happening. But then eventually it happens, and you land up happily in Salesforce.
So talk us through those 7 interviews. I mean, were they all the same? Was there like a set number of interviews per company that you had to go through? What were they like?
um I think I almost attended 5 interviews which went to the last round. um and there was this, can I take the names of the company? Is that,
Yeah, if you'd
yeah?
like.
Yeah, I mean, so there was this company called Be Intelligent. The interview process was really amazing. I kind of really enjoyed it, because they actually, before the interview, they gave me 2 scenarios, and they asked me to uh, build the whole thing on Salesforce. I mean, the scenario. So you could choose the scenario. So basically, it's like a company, and they want to do this and stuff like that. So I actually built that thing, and during the interview, they asked me to demo that the whole thing during the interview. So, and the interview went really well. It was like I just thought it was amazing. I mean, they were pretty impressed, and it moved on to the next round. The third round was amazing. It went well. I met the CEO, and everything. But unfortunately, some things changed for the organization, and I couldn't proceed. But I mean, I just thought it was a nice experience. So that happened, and then after that, some one of the interviews was, even though they said it's an admin role, they kind of really asked me questions about Apex and what is development, and have you worked on, like, testing and stuff like that. So that was, I mean, I just upfrontly said, sorry, I didn't do anything of that. I just know admin stuff. um, and some interviews was based on, like, explaining about permission sets, record types. um, um, if, like, permission sets and profiles are a bit tricky, so you need to kind of understand what is permission sets. You kind of set your base there, so they ask you questions more towards the admin side, but also, like, how what is sharing rules, what is profiles, like, what is fiscal year, like, what is the configuration of fiscal year and stuff like that. So that's something that some of the interviews asked. And they also, like, judge you, like, how you talk, what is the cultural background that you have, how fit will you be in the team. So like, if you're yeah, almost sitting like the exam. That's right, that's exactly right, yeah. So yeah, it was fun, like, but yeah, don't, I mean, if you feel that you're not getting there, I mean, don't worry, you will get there. I mean, if that's easy for sure.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. So just to recap, the numbers were 25 job applications,
Yeah, yeah.
and then it was 7.
7 interviews, 2 offers.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So I think that's a pretty inspiring like ratio to keep in mind when it comes to these sorts of things. So how did you keep up your morale and your attitude during this time? Because I talk to a lot of students who get really discouraged and really disheartened if they're not hearing back from the first, let's say, 5.
Yeah.
But you applied for 25, which is a lot. So what was your mindset like during that time?
I mean, like, you did get, I mean, I did get disappointed when there was a rejection, or when you get an email when they don't want to actually meet you or anything like that. But what I did was, like, a first or second rejection was, like, a bit disappointing, but then what I did was recapped the interview questions that they asked. And I just wrote it down on a piece of paper, and went to the trailhead, and I just assumed that I know this stuff for the next interview. So what I used to do is, even though they didn't ask me any questions related to that, I just upfrontly just brought up those questions and I answered it by myself. So that's something that I did. And then they, some of them asked me, like, oh, okay, so you know this stuff. And then they asked an extra question on that. Then I couldn't answer, because I just prepared for that question that the previous interviewer asked me. But I kind of remembered, I just tried to remember it, because I mean, normally what I used to do is, like, forget the interview and then just keep on applying. But I tried to actually, for upcoming interviews, I kind of went back to the last interviews and prepared those questions again. um, and then, yeah, brag about this project, like, I did this, I did that. My stakeholder was Amber. And like, I kind of mentioned, some for some interviews, her name. Maybe that's why, maybe, maybe I got the job or something, I don't know. But yeah, I did mention, like, who I worked with, and why was I doing that and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
for each interview, it went better and better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome. That's very inspiring. And how about the New Zealand Post one? I mean, was that just the one interview and done, or?
To be honest, I was very lucky. Like, that was just one interview and done. Like, offer.
Really?
Yeah, that was just one
Wow.
interview. Yeah, there
Were you
was just one
surprised?
interview. I was surprised, but I didn't show that face that I'm surprised. Yeah, that was just one interview, one simple interview. Almost, it just took like 40 minutes, I think. And yeah, next day the offer came in. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow. And so now that you're in the Salesforce role, you've been in it for 4 months now. How does it
Yeah.
compare to what you thought it was going to be? Is it the same, or is it a bit different? Um, is it what you hoped it was?
I think for me personally, coming from the playground, the trailhead playground, and seeing the actual organization's platform, because NZ Post is very huge. They have different like departments, and for each department we have different platforms. So that was huge. So for me it was understanding the terminologies that they had. So that basically, in playground, we call it accounts, but this over here they call it organization. So relating to those terms and terminologies, I'm still getting used to it. Like, I think I'm still learning new terminologies and new features. So that was something like a learning for me from day one. So day one, like maybe first month, I was blown away with the amount of configs and amount of apex components and amount of record types, profiles. Like did not imagine, like, this would be the real scenario. But then you get used to it. Then like, as and when you go, like, you work on stories. I'm just trying to get like, used to new features. So that's getting there. And obviously, I don't know if you know this, like, we are kind of like getting the process builder, like, I think February, sorry, is it June 2023 where we stop the process builder and we're moving on to the flow? June 2023, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, we are kind of working on to get all the process builder, and we will be working, like, transferring all the processes to processes and workflow to flows. So that's something exciting project that I'm looking forward to in upcoming days. I think we are starting this project in November. So yeah,
Mm,
that's exciting. So I will be working on a lot of flows.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. There was a question that came in the chat. And here. Hi, Alan. How do you get updated with new features in Salesforce?
uh,
Good question.
New features. I think more like, you have this modules that comes in. So for each release, in each release you kind of know what all features has been introduced. So there is a trailhead. I think there is a trail for that. Whenever there is a new release comes in, they have this, whatever new features they introduce. But it also depends on what your company is using. Not all features get updated into the company's environment. Also depends, like, how they want to use those features. So yeah, I mean, it's basically like like an in-house admin who normally have a track of, like, what all new features has been come in, and what are the impact if we implement those. So it's basically trail, like, Salesforce actually sends an update to each organization, like, what all features has been coming in. So that's how you get updated.
Mm.
So, if that answers correctly.
Yeah, I think that the Winter 23 one is out now. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can definitely check that out. Awesome. Do you remember much of your first day on the job? Were you like, can you remember what you did or how you were feeling?
First day I played a lot of table tennis, actually. That's Yeah, we had like coffee. I mean, I think my first day, my equipments did not come in. So my lead, my lead had COVID. He was positive. So there was other team members who came in. So my laptop wasn't there, and I think we played a lot of table tennis. We went out for lunch,
Yeah.
and that was my first day. But second day, like, they introduced me to this whole scenario. They created my login, um, and yeah, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, then you have your own sandbox. Basically, you can do whatever in your sandbox, but thumb rule: do not change anything in the main production. Otherwise you're gonna be like really bad. Like, people will like, really really, you'll be crucified, basically.
Let's avoid that. Very cool. So just getting a bit into the technical side here. So how are you doing your mergers between sandboxes?
Um, for now, I don't do any merges. I mean,
Mhm.
oh, sorry, you mean like getting whatever you did from your sandbox to the UAT?
Yes.
We use Workbench over
Mhm.
here. So Workbench is a tool wherein we, um, I don't remember what the other tool was, Amber, but normally we use Workbench
Mhm.
at NZ Post. So it's like either you can do it manual and do replication, or you could actually use the build components and actually so basically that's I think Java, sorry, XML scripts that you write, and I can share that Ant website wherein we normally there is a list of um, components, like all the components like permission sets or flows or whatever. So those are basically the tools that we normally use, uh, and you can find it. I'll just paste it on this link. It's kind of really exciting, that tool.
It's pretty cool, hey?
Yep. So it's basically either the manual change, or you kind of take those build components, and then you log in as first. You log in into the sandbox login, and then you kind of retrieve whatever you did from your sandbox, and then you log out from your own sandbox, and then you go back to the UAT. You log in into the UAT workbench, and then you deploy the changes. um, so that's how you kind of migrate those things.
Mm, very cool.
So
Very
if you just look at the link, I mean, there is a link that I shared. You can actually go through that link, and there's like build components wherein for each Salesforce you can actually like profiles, permission sets, whatever you want. But there is some limitation. So when there is a limitation comes in, you normally do it manually. But it totally depends upon the project. I mean, the operation lead, because for us we don't do any deployment directly into production. It goes into UAT, and from UAT our operation lead actually does all the deployment by all himself.
mm,
So we are not involved in any deployment to the production, but we just deploy it into the UAT.
right, right. So you're not touching production at all.
Nobody does. It's just one person.
That sounds like a very safe way to go, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, very cool. Very cool. And outside of Salesforce and the job, obviously your day-to-day job has changed pretty significantly. But
Yeah.
has there been anything else outside of work that you've noticed that's changed, or you've started doing or improved or anything as a result of changing into Salesforce?
Not particularly. I mean, for me, it was like still 9 to 5, and it's still 9 to 5.
Hmm.
So, personal life, I mean, definitely, there is good scope of. I mean, I've just started off. I mean, I'm just at the bottom, to be honest.
Yeah.
There is a long way to go. I mean, when you actually interact with so many other professionals and so many experienced persons, you kind of get inspired. So my next goal right now is to get the platform app builder certification, because we have this flow coming in. I'm kind of looking to get my certification get done in October, maybe, because we have this flow conversion starting from November. So I'm just trying to upgrade myself. So right now I'm just still wanting to do a couple of more certifications. um and I don't know, maybe like there is a business analyst new position that has come in, but as in the certification, like if you guys know about that, because Salesforce has introduced the new business analyst thing. So maybe 2 years down the line, working a bit on the technical side, I might just go to the business side of it. But otherwise my life has been like pretty much same, but improved in terms of like career wise. Yes, I'm very happy. Like I think, I mean, I definitely made the right choice to be in Salesforce.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Very cool. Very cool. Who's inspiring you? At work you're talking about meeting with other people. What's inspiring about these people?
It's like the way they debug a problem.
Mhm.
like the way they see a problem. I mean, if you're given a, if you're given a scenario, the way they kind of connect the dots, it's kind of you kind of think, okay, you could think the other way also. I mean, this is the right way to think or something like that. But the way they kind of debug a scenario and then they actually do that on Salesforce platform, and then the fix, they find a fix, or they kind of do some innovative ways to bring up some features. So that's something that kind of inspires me. And also, like like yeah, like the roles and the responsibilities that everyone has. um, and yeah, definitely, I think the salary also, like it's kind of important as well. Like as in when you grow, like you need to grow financially also. So yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
totally. And do you find that the more certifications people get, the more their salary is increasing?
Oh, definitely, definitely. So I can share, like my one of my colleague, she was like a functional developer like me. So she just finished her platform app builder, as well as she also did the I think the JavaScript exam.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and she's been promoted to from functional to a technical developer now.
Hmm.
And definitely, that's a huge jump on your pocket as well. Like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Would you feel comfortable sharing any sort of average numbers that you've noticed, or you can totally say no? It's really up to you. Yeah.
What do you mean, the package?
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of like salaries, and because people don't really know what to expect going into tech or Salesforce in particular.
I think the basic package starts from 75, I think.
Mhm.
75. And if you have a bit of experience, like as and when you get experience, like that can go up to 90, 100, 120. There's no limit, basically.
Mm,
There's definitely
mm,
no limit. I've seen like many people who is already at 160,
mm.
and they're just developers. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, if you do pursue an architect route as well, um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's up again, isn't
totally.
it?
Totally. And
Yeah.
for us, there's a new person who joined us, and he came from Spain. And he has like 14 years of experience, and he's a developer, though he's a senior developer, but the knowledge is immense. Like you know he's the go-to person right now for everyone.
Mm.
So that's also, like one of the inspiring things. Like if somebody is coming to you and asking you some questions, and you know the solution, or you know how to do it, that's awesome. So yeah.
Yeah. Totally. 100%. Awesome. Well, we're coming up on time. I want to make sure that everyone gets out with a few more minutes before 1 o'clock when they've got other things starting.
Yeah.
So, do you want to maybe just give any advice that you'd have for um, people who are starting or currently in the course?
I'm sorry, Amber, can you repeat that? There was a cracking sound, I couldn't hear
Oh,
you.
sorry, that was probably on my end. Do you have any advice for people who are currently getting into Salesforce on that same journey?
um I mean, you need to decide. I mean, why you are getting into Salesforce, to be honest. Like, is that just an option, or like I think for me personally, I enjoyed, maybe it's just my background, but I kind of enjoyed working in Salesforce. And I could I mean, I could relate each and every, like a bit of object oriented. I mean, Salesforce is basically like a software, it's a CRM. And there is a lot of concepts that comes from software development. So I would say, like um, and I've also seen like people who has no background, and are technical architects right now. So Salesforce gives you an option, and obviously the trailhead is actually the best way to learn the trail mixes. And obviously, right now you're in a course wherein you're getting all the help, and obviously also getting chance to work on a project, and then that's something interesting. So the best way is to find out what is that you want to go as in, if you are gonna work for as a consultant, or you want to stay as an admin, or if development is your if your passion. So yeah, just find what exactly you want to be, and then probably work for that. I can share my goal, because my goal is actually being a functional right now, but I want to be I want to learn a bit of Apex, and get into a development side, just to kind of work there and understand the whole framework.
Mm.
And then probably get into a product owner kind of role, wherein I could build stories or understand, talk to the customers and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's amazing. What a cool goal. I love it. That sounds really cool. Yeah, definitely. I can really see that for you. Absolutely. And I'm sure just keeping in touch and everything like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it come to life. All right, I think there was one question here and then we'll wrap it up.
Oh, yeah.
So is it safe to mention 75K for beginners when employers ask what salary I want to get?
Totally. I mean, it's your worth. I mean, if you decide, if you think that you're worth of 75K, then you should definitely ask for 75K, and you need to prove that you're worth of it, and you will definitely get it. I mean, I've seen many scenarios. It's totally how you want to be, like what you want to show, and the employer would see what you show. I mean, that's it. If you think that you're just worth 40 or 50, then I mean, that's all you would probably show. But I think, yeah, definitely, if you're definitely worth, and if you can explain, like, or show what you've done, definitely 75 is totally bargainable, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a bargain as well. Really good.
Yeah.
Really good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ellen. Really, really appreciate the time that you're giving here. It's really cool to hear your story. Really inspiring.
Oh, yeah.
I know that everyone got a lot out of it. So thank you so much. Everyone who's here, could you guys please just turn on your cameras a bit, and we'll take a bit of a group photo, and then we'll wrap up. So let me just get my layout sorted.
Hey, I didn't actually realize this he was with us too. Hey,
Yeah,
Theo.
Felix, yeah. Which is really cool. All right, so everyone get ready, and we're gonna do a wave. 3, 2, 1, wave. Cheese. All right, got it. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. You guys are the best, and thank you again so much, Alan. We'll see you guys later.
Cheers. Thank you, guys. All the best. Have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Amber.
Bye.
Bye. See ya. Give my regards to Sid. Bye. Bye, Amber. Bye,
See you
bro.
later. Thank you.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Did he say something to